Welcome, everyone. Today is April 13th, I think, 2023. Never before has there ever been, nor will there ever be, a day quite like this one. And we're glad you're joining us. My name is Missy Shipman with Missy's Glad Heart Studio. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm so delighted to be partnering tonight with Julia and the Baldwinsville Public Library to bring you our monthly Zoom card making class. It's great fun to get together virtually. Those of you who are joining us on Zoom or live on Facebook or catching the replay on Facebook or YouTube, we welcome you. We're delighted you're taking part, and we love your feedback. So you can enter comments in the chat. You can go off mute and ask questions. Julia usually can watch the Facebook comments if you're watching on Facebook and have questions. I sometimes miss them, but Julia's pretty good about catching those. And if by chance we do miss each other during our live while I'm on camera tonight, I do always review the comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So it's spring. Today felt a little more like summer here in central New York. Hopefully you got some sunshine as well. I had a nice walk today and had a little bit of a drive, and it was actually a really pretty day to be out in the country a little bit. Lots of daffodils are growing, and tonight's projects feature some flowers and butterflies and some spring themes. So gather your goodies if you picked up a kit from the Baldwinsville Public Library. If you're watching us without those resources, I love seeing what you create with your stash at home. Mix in the things that you have from your craft stash, along with the things that you can borrow from the Baldwinsville Public Library. And we love to see how you mix and match products and come up with greetings that are truly personalized. So Julia, thank you so much for being our tech guru here. We can highlight my hands now, and I'll show everybody a little preview of what we're working on tonight. And we have 4 projects, and in your kit you have the supplies for 4, but they're going to be a little bit varied. For example, the lovely fresh freesia, which matches my springtime shirt tonight. You'll either have the freesia paper, this beautiful light purple color, or you'll have one with this coral paper in it. I think those were the only 2 options. If you have something different, sometimes I forget between the time I drop off the kits and then I do the videoing live. That's one project tonight, and this has a very special opening. It's kind of our paper engineering card tonight. It's called an envelope design or an envelope pattern. And so we're creating that flat with this piece. All right. We also have a card that's a square card. So the envelope is a large square card. These can go through the mail, but they do require extra postage because it's not a rectangular size. Usually it just needs that extra 24 cents, the ounce upgrade, and the friendly folks at the Baldwinsville post office will help you get that stamp. There's some pretty butterfly ones that you might like to add to your regular postage. And so there are 2 options with this one. You either have this mint macaron, lovely green with silver polka dot base, or you have the white with kind of a scallop or a mermaid tail pattern on it. I have one of those. Our 3rd project tonight is this fun a Z-fold, which opens up, and these both feature some really lovely watercolored papers and spring themes of transformation and taking time and enjoying the journey. And then our bonus project tonight is it's actually called a diaper fold. It's a little tea pocket, and you'll see I have 2 different sizes. So I'll give you information on how to do 2 sizes. The larger one is great for the tea bag, which is included in your kit. The other one, I folded the tea bag a little bit to fit. A little candy might fit in here more nicely, or you can just fold the tea bag. But I'll show you when it's time to do this project how to make those varying sizes. All right, so let's begin with our envelope fold card. And so that's going to look something like this in your kit, or it will have these pretty purple colors. And take those out. Now, all of the projects tonight have several bits and pieces, punched items or little gems and things. So as you take them apart, just be cautious that you keep track of what your supplies are. But again, a reminder that Julia and I love when we hear and see pictures of things that you've made at home that mix and match the supplies. So you, as you watch this, take part in our event tonight. Sometimes people like to work along with me and stamp and complete the projects. Other times you just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Figure out how you might want to use your supplies. So whatever works well for you, you're welcome to do.
Yeah, I usually get through about one card during the live session, and
Yes,
sometimes
yeah.
get a start on some of the others.
Exactly. And that actually works out nicely, especially if you do sometimes have a new, different way of putting it together. You, instead of a birthday, you'd really need a thinking of you or a get well. And so you can make some changes based on your preferences. So we're going to begin with this card. You'll see you have one large pattern piece. And this is actually, we're going to fold in half. This will be the flip out card base. We're going to flip it. If you might decide which color you want to be your outside of your card. In this case, I'm going to feature those pretty stars, but you could also have it be with the flowers. And again, your papers are different. Some have stars, some are plaid patterns or checks or gingham, and all these bright, pretty colors. This is called Mango Melody and Cameo, or not Cameo Coral. Now it's called a different coral name, which it used to be called Cameo Coral. I don't remember right now. Isn't that funny? We're having a color refresh with Stampin' Up! This month. And so many of our colors, we have some returning favorites coming back. We have some colors that are retiring. We always have a new set of 5 in colors. I like to call them the Pottery Barn colors because they're the colors that when you go shopping at Target or Pottery Barn or billboards even, or if you go in the fabric store, they're the colors that are the on-trend colors. Sometimes the Pantone color of the year matches our Stampin' Up! Colors too. This is the piece that's going to do the magic here, that's going to create this triangle envelope flap. So what we'll do is take this one and fold it in half diagonally. And because the paper is, oh, mine's not exactly square. That's okay. Yours probably isn't either if mine isn't, but I'm not going to worry. I'm going to go ahead and still get it done for us. So mine's a little bit off. I'm going to fold this and use my bone folder to make that a nice crease. Now, I apologize. This is intended to be a square piece. So if that happened to you, you can go ahead and snip off now this little bit. And it won't alter the design too much. That's just going to be the flap of our card. Looks a little like a duck beak right now. We're going to hide this inside piece in just a moment. Now, because the card opens, the triangle flips up, then the rectangle comes down, we need to put our rectangle piece with this opening at the top, which seems a little counterintuitive when we're ready to assemble it onto the Cameo Coral. But before we do the adhering, we need to get this triangle piece inside like this. Now, see, it matches right now, but it's going to have the contrasting paper when it's closed. So this one I said is like our paper engineering one. We're going to do a little bit of folding and carefully assembling this card in a way that seems a little counterintuitive. But I'm going to take some adhesive. This is my 2-way Tombow multi-purpose glue. And I'm going to put the mouth of that beak there right inside so that only the triangle on the top is showing. Okay, and then that other piece that we folded can come up, and now we're going to see some contrasting paper. And I apologize that wasn't exactly square. Perhaps yours is in your kit. Sometimes I make an error, not on all, but on one. But if yours is hanging over, you'll see I just snipped that with my paper snips to even that, to make that a straight rectangle shape here. Now I can adhere this decorative colorful piece to the card base, which is just a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 rectangle. There we are. And I'm going to smooth it. Remember, when you're using this liquid glue, a little goes a long way, and you want to smooth it with your fingers to help that bond, the glue bond between the two papers. So it's shaping up now, isn't it? We open up and then it can flip down. And because we want to do some writing or stamp a greeting inside, we'll go ahead and add a layer of the basic white cardstock. This is the same size as the designer series paper, so it will match right up to the edges. Smooth it. And now we have the bulk of our card design is done at this time. To create a little closure, we are going to have this strip of paper go across. Now, and the Fresh Freesia, it's more a monochromatic card. There's a lot of that beautiful purpley color. And in your kit, you should have both some flowers or you have stars, depending on which kit you have in your collection. You might have a punched star, or you might have a couple of little flowers, okay? So you'll notice that this is flagged here like a pennant. And I'm going to show you a trick on how to do that using scissors. You can, from the middle of the banner, I'm going to snip in a little bit, okay? And then now I have a place to cut to. I'm going to cut to this little slit here from the corner to the middle. Flip it over, and from the corner to the middle. So that helps me make it a little more even because I've already found my center place. Another way to do it is simply to cut out this triangle from the bottom, from one of the ends, I should say. Okay. There, so this looks like a pennant now, a little banner. And before we adhere it to our card with our dimensionals, let's do some stamping on here. Let's put a happy celebration word. And I have some fun stamp sets that if you come to the class tomorrow in our in-person live class, one of the choices is this beautiful kit that makes 9 of these cards with lovely colors. There's yellows and blues and greens in them. And this kit also includes ribbon and a really pretty blue called Misty Moonlight. And one of the stamp sets that comes inside there is a really big floral set. And it has some nice words: celebrate, best wishes, sending you birthday wishes, and time to celebrate. So I'm going to go ahead. I love this big bold celebrate. I'm going to get that onto my block. So when I work with the photopolymer stamps, I can peel them from the plastic liner, put them onto the block, and then it's ready to ink up. The stamps that we include in the non-consumable kits right now are all red rubber stamps. And so red rubber has a little foam liner with it. But you'll notice that these photopolymer stamps don't have any cushion in them. It's just a flat plastic. So when you work with this kind of stamp, you want to have padding underneath you. It can be a mouse pad or a magazine, something that will give a little bit of cushion. I inked up my celebrate. I'm gonna
just have to tell you that's one of my favorite kits from last year. I like
Isn't it a wonderful paper pumpkin?
I bought 2.
Oh, very good. I'm glad, Mary. Well, I'll show you another one that I have that's that will be featured tomorrow as well. I have a couple of super choices, but that's one of them. So my celebrate, I'm going to stamp a little bit to the right, and that's because I want to have room for my flowers or my star. So I'm offsetting the words a little bit to the right here. And then because we want this to be able to open, we're not going to glue down the whole thing. We're just going to use some dimensionals, and there's a square of dimensionals in your kit you can find. It's a quarter sheet of our Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, which are a foam sticker, and they have a little wax paper that you peel off, and then that's sticky now. So it's going to give a little bump to the project. You know, if you've seen any of my videos and taken part in our classes, you know that I love creating that dimension in my projects. And so I like using that kind of adhesive. It's called dimensionals. And so it's a little hard on camera. Let me see if I can get you to see. There, you can see how it's raised up. Okay. So there we have celebrate. And then for our daisies, I'm going to go ahead and layer them one on another. And then with a dimensional, I can add them to the banner. And if truth be told, if I had thought a little more about my designing, I would have done them in white so they would stand out more. But there's also something nice about a monochromatic card or a card that has fewer contrast. It's a little bit more subtle. So in these kits, your stars or your flowers coordinate with that banner piece of cardstock. Okay. Anybody have any questions so far?
I still haven't gotten
Go ahead, Julia.
I still haven't gotten the Facebook Live going, but I'm working on it, so.
Oh, okay.
Go
No
ahead, Mary.
worries.
Go ahead,
We'll
Mary.
be able to have the recording, which Julia puts up, thankfully, every month. It's onto the YouTube channel for the Baldwinsville Public Library. And you can go back now and see months and months, maybe 20 months. I'm not sure, Julia. We'll have to do the math how many times we have, but many months of classes. And even though the kit materials change, you can rewatch those and learn some great paper engineering, some great layouts that you can apply to your own crafting, even with different supplies. I do want to add a little bit of greeting inside my card. I want there to be quite a bit of space here so that I can write a personal message, but I also loved when there's a greeting that coordinates nicely with an outside. We call these outside inside greetings that coordinate. So we have celebrate and then sending you birthday wishes right inside. So if you're not sure whether you want this to be a birthday card or another kind of celebration, you could obviously leave that blank for later. But I always need birthday cards. I'm happy to have a stash of those. Okay, so there we have our first card, which is that envelope flap card. And you can think about all different ways you could embellish these and enjoy them. I can tell you that the square that we started with, this one I think is square. That one I just had an error and it wasn't square, but it is 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So that when you have it on the diagonal, that will be the right size for this project. Okay. So let me do another little commercial for tomorrow's Friday morning class. We have some beautiful cards that have a touch of gold foiling on them. There's one. They have some great greetings for Mother's Day, and this one's to an incredible woman, to a wonderful mother. Let me pull that kit to show you. It's got a really pretty box as well, because we're celebrating 10 years of Paper Pumpkin, 10 years of these monthly subscription kits. And to celebrate, it even has gold tissue paper and a lot of gold elements in there. And this one, like last year's kit, Mary, has 2 stamp sets. So this one probably came to your house, Mary, but if you're not a subscriber, I'd love to be able to share this kit with you tomorrow. When you come on a Friday morning for our Let's Kit Together class, it's the $20 supply fee includes the whole kit. So for example, this one, you'd make 9 cards, and you'd also go home with the stamp sets and the ink spot. And like I shared, the other one actually has ribbon in it too, which is fun. So they're different every month, but they always are include a step-by-step choreographed crafting experience, which I hope you find very, very satisfying.
Now that one's beautiful too. I do have that.
It is lovely. And I also have some other kits. So if you have those paper pumpkins, if you're already a subscriber, you can come and still find something special to work on tomorrow. Now, next, let's take a look at this square card. It's got a vanilla envelope, and then it will be tall sticking out, either the green or the white piece. And you can see I do enjoy foiling and metallic. This card also has some shine. On the inside, it has a liner. And then on the cards themselves, there are the silver foiling printed on the card and the foil layers. So let's grab those supplies. I'll go ahead and work on the green one first. These come together really quickly. I'm going to carefully pull this out. Now there are some little gems in here, so we'll make sure We find those. They are kind of a mustard or golden color, but they're tiny. So you want to keep those, set those where we won't misplace them. And then the first thing I like to do, well, I'll give you a tip. I'm going to go ahead and use my silver foil as designed as my envelope liner. But you might decide that this is valuable to you for other card making projects. You can punch it, you can cut it, you can emboss it, you can use it any number of ways. It's like a mirror tonight. I can smile into that silver. So you may choose to save this for a different project. I'm actually going to show you though how it's designed, where it's a liner for the envelope. It's just really classy. And to secure this with glue, we're just going to tack a little line of the mono Tombow glue. And then we'll fold on the score line that's already made for the envelope. So I'm going to just fold that and use my bone folder. And so now I have a really elegant lined envelope ready to send. You could also, if you chose, you could cut the foil before you put it in. So you would have a generous piece here to use for another project, and you'd still have that look of the lined envelope. I know people often enjoy little tips and tricks on how to stretch the specialty items in the kit. So the foil obviously is very special. Okay, so this one, we are going to do our stamping on the label that has the pre-printed flowers. And this stamp set is also in the kit with the ribbon and the large greeting that we used to celebrate. This has one called, says hello. And I think that's a great card to have for any time you need to just send a message to someone, a thinking of you. It can be for a joy or a sorrow that you just want to be reaching out and letting people know you're sending them a happy hello. So I'm going to ink that up with my, I'm using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink tonight, and we'll line that. And then I'm going to make sure I leave a little room at the top, because you'll see that the twine is wrapping across the top. So I want my words to be a little bit lower. Now, if you don't have words today to play with, you could handwrite a name or a message here. Sometimes people like to put a favorite quote or write a secret message, sometimes you have a private joke with someone. You could put that right on there and make it a very personalized greeting. So I know that since we're using different stamps, my designs your cards will look different from mine, but I do hope you'll have fun experimenting. And if these particular images appeal to you, then there's something that you can take advantage of at tomorrow's class. So before I wrap the twine around the greeting, I want to adhere it first to that silver. So if you're savvy again, you might want to punch out something from the center here, because we are going to be covering it up, right? So let's go ahead and punch out a daisy, just so I can illustrate to you how you can use your products and get a little bonus from them. So now I have a silver foil daisy I could use on another project, and no one will know because it's going to be hiding underneath this layer. So let's go ahead and glue that. It goes right up against the top of the silver. So it's leaving a frame on the sides and along the scallop bottom. Okay, next we'll have the baker's twine. And I'm going to wrap this a couple of times around. It's quite a generous piece. And then I can tie a bow or a knot. I love baker's twine. I think it's it's thin and versatile, because you can make a bolder statement when you wrap it like I did, and you've got more pieces here, or you can keep it more dainty and with just the one layer. So let's just trim that a little bit. And we have this piece ready. Now, also in this kit is this piece of very fine wood. It's like a balsa wood. And the same thing goes here. If you wanted to conserve some of that wood, let's try punching it this time with the same daisy punch. I'm going to insert that and punch. And I haven't done that yet, so I'm not sure that my punch is really happy with me doing that. It would probably prefer me using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Yep, I wanted to try it. I should have tried it off camera first, but because now my wood's going to get stuck in here. What I'll do, sometimes with a punch, you have to give a little more pressure. So I stand and it makes a big sound, but that's going to punch it out. So unfortunately though, this wood was too gentle for the punch. But I will tell you a funny thing you can do with these little daisies is make Easter bunny ears. You may have seen some cards for Easter last week that used little bits of the daisy punch to make the bunny ears peeking out. Like here, he'd be peeking out from the hello, a little Easter bunny coming out. Can you see that there? It's kind of funny. All right, so we've learned something tonight. We've learned that the balsa wood doesn't like the punch so much. We've created a cool stencil, but the punch itself was too delicate. You could, however, use the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, however, to cut out a shape. We'll go ahead and glue this layer. And the wood, I think, works nicely with the Tombow glue. It grabs it, but you do have to give a little pressure so that the paper can bond to the wood. Now our card base is pre-scored. We can fold that, use our bone folder to give it a nice crease. And then we'll add this with some of the dimensionals. Let's put these on the back. I'm going to put one in the center as well. It's going to kind of cushion that piece. And like I said, this can go through the mail. It just does need an extra postage because it is a square card. And that's just one of the rules of the United States Postal Service. Now, one of these things is not like the other. What do you notice that we didn't add yet?
The dots.
The little dots, the little embossed dots. They're lovely. They're
The
tiny.
triangle, the magic.
Then we're going to make a
triangle.
triangle. Yes, we are. So you can decide where you want them to fall here, but I like for them to fall into a triangular pattern. That's going to keep our eyes moving around the card, and it's going to keep us looking at that hello. So you can take a look. You might want to put yours up higher. I had a little ink smudge here. One of my friends always just puts a little glitter dot on top of a smudge. That's okay. They're handmade with love, so it's fine to have some of those personalized greetings. So there's our hello card. Now I'll quickly take a look at the pieces in the white kit so that if you have this one, you'll know how to assemble that as well. Basically, it's going to be very similar. We have I like to call this sort of a mermaid scale paper. We have this, we can use the word, I stamped the word congratulations. I'll hold them both side by side so you can see all the elements combined. We're going to adhere the floral to the silver and then the silver to the wood. You'll want to be sure you stamp the green before you put it on, remember, because you want it to be a flat surface while you're stamping. And then you can add those little elements like we did to the green card. So it's very similar construction. Again, just using the adhesive. I will go ahead and stamp the greeting for you though, just so I can have a chance to show you this other congratulations, which is so pretty. I like this script font, and I've shared this before. That's a preference I have when a stamp set has two different fonts combined. So here it's a bold capital letters and then a scripty, thinking of you. And I just enjoy when fonts are combined. I think it adds a little whimsy usually to a project. So here's the congratulations. Stamp that onto the mint paper. And then it's ready to assemble. So the same tips for adhesive that we did for the green card. Again, the dimensionals will be on the back of the wood and the other elements put together with the Tombow. And and here. So this one does not have any baker's twine added to it. If you have any in your stash, it's always fun. If you like ribbons or textures, you can make a little bow or add them. But I thought the simplicity of this, I'll hold the finished one, with the shiny dots and the wood, the contrast of textures is really pleasing. So one last look at our hello and our congratulations. You can see that pretty silver. Okay,
Nice.
so the next project is going to be a kit that uses some watercolory design. So you either have one that has more of a black base or a blue. And this one is a past paper pumpkin kit that has greetings for people in times of transition or new seasons. So some of the words are, I am so proud of who you've become. May this new season hold wonderful new experiences. I believe in you. Every day is a new day and beautiful things take time. And this is definitely a time of the Earth's, transition as we move towards spring, and teasing a little bit about summer. My oldest son is in college. He's a senior and he'll be graduating in May. So we've been talking a lot about graduations and transitions and what next steps in our family, and it's exciting. This project, we start with a kit that looks like what you'll have. If you have the one with the black base, this, remember, has each of these kits have these little pearls in them. So inside your envelope, it might get stuck in there a little bit, but there's a piece of the acetate with little pearls. And there's a stencil sheet here. If you have the one with the flowers, you can punch out the banner pieces, the little flowers, butterfly, or the rose, I mean. And then you're welcome, if you have this black kit, you've got this little stencil sheet. A lot of people will use these to create patterns either by tracing or sponging in the pattern. So that's a little bonus you can keep in your stash of supplies. And this, you'll see, you're just going to fold on this score line that's pre-scored for us. And we will score that. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use the back of a spoon or your thumb. But it's always helpful to do some of the creasing of the score lines so that things will lay flat and have a nice crease so they open nicely. I just think the artwork on this is really lovely. It tells a story of seedling through to blooming rose. And we're going to add a little more embellishment with these pieces from the kit. And you'll notice they're all popped up on dimensionals, right? So we have dimensionals for the little yellow flowers as well as for the rose. But the rose is pretty big, so I'm going to go ahead and put a few on here. Maybe just 3 is fine. Or there's also little edges around the outside of your dimensionals that are kind of like half pieces. Those are great. You can use those. They're especially helpful for the little yellow flowers too. I'll do that one next. So I'm going to put my rose here on this last piece. So it's showing the progression of growth, right? And now we've got our little yellow flowers. So you have an extra one. Again, you're doing the 3s here. 1 large and 2 littles will make the 3. All right, actually what I want to do is move my rose down a little bit because I want to have room for that banner. And you can see here that the stem ends right here. So I don't want my rose to be floating up too high. I want to use that green stem to help me kind of decide where to position it. And now we can go ahead and add these yellow flowers. The little yellow ones, if you use the half dimensionals from the sides of the dimensional sheet, that will work nicely. Or you might have some mini dimensionals in your stash. There we are. Okay, so this one, there's very little stamping, but we do want to add this greeting that says, beautiful things take time. My photopolymer stamps, you'll notice, get stained. That doesn't affect their use. They're still great to use, but when you use certain ink colors like this pink, or I have we have like rich raspberry and blackberry and the night of navy. They tend to cause the, let's see here if I can find my little spot that's open. They tend to cause the acrylic or the photopolymer material to stain. So you just would clean them off with a wet paper towel or a chamois or a baby wipe, and that will clean that off for you. So here's beautiful things take time. And we'll add that again with a dimensional right up here. I don't want dimensionals over the flap, the end of the banner, because that's going to hang over the folded card like this. Okay. Now on the back, there's a place for you to add a greeting or a message. And in this case, we've added, I believe in you, because it's a card about beautiful things take time. I believe you can do it. Take your time and I believe in you. You also could put every day is a new day, any kind of greeting. And this could also be a really lovely card for a birthday or any celebration card. Now, here's another Missy trick that I do as I say and not as I do, because I went ahead and assembled the front with those dimensionals. That made it very puffy, right? So when I want to stamp, now I have a puffy surface instead of a flat. I'm going to take care of that by just putting my greeting over where it's still flat. But in the future, when you're working on a card, plan ahead where the stamping will be and do that part first so that you don't have this bumpy bottom to work on. The last thing to add to this sweet card are these little pearl gems. They're kind of like little pebbles, I think, or they could be like little seeds. And we'll go ahead and add those down where they're going to show on this green hill. You could also put them anywhere you like over on the other flowers. Here they just kind of look like they're organic into the ground here. Beautiful things take time. Right. Now the other, if you have the other option for this card, which is the beautiful butterfly one, the caterpillar that's emerging in this chrysalis and emerging from the chrysalis as a beautiful butterfly. So this one has the greeting, I am so proud of who you've become. Here we have the transition. And we'll take that card. But again, this would, any kind of greeting that you have, you can work for a thinking of you or I'm proud of you or a congratulations kind of card. Someone starting a new job, someone going to a new program, someone retiring from a job. There's the butterfly. And then we have the caterpillar. And he's already nicely watercolored with those pretty colors of the yellow and pink. He's going to sit over here on this leaf. And we'll have room on the leaf for these little pretty shiny, I don't know, do you think they're like pebbles? Sort of like pearly pebbles? What do you think they look like?
Like Easter
I like
eggs.
this because when you open it, it's sort of a surprise where you put your greeting. Julia, do you think they look sort of like stones or seeds or?
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs, very nice. Happy Easter, yes. Very good. So this one, I'm going to use the stamp image that says, I'm so proud of who you've become.
Oh, that's beautiful for the
Isn't that
chrysalis,
nice?
yeah.
Yes, the transformation. So we'll get this one ready. I'm using the ink spots. The ink spots come in the kits that we use on the Friday mornings. And they're just a fun sort of sampler of the ink. It's got a linen lid on it. So if you're working with a very large stamp, you just walk across the stamp, or you can turn it this way and tap this ink onto the stamp.
Does each kit have a specific color or are they varied?
Each month it's different. I think they don't repeat at least for 6 months. Like we've had a few night of navies, a few different greens, I think, but they try to vary it so that you have a variety as you grow your collection. Yes. Okay, so we have those 2 cards, and you'll notice I stamped also on my envelope. It's nice to have a little sneak or a clue about what's inside your card. And what's lovely about these, this particular kit, is the envelopes do have that lovely lining inside already printed there for you. This one has kind of a watercolor one. And again, it's sort of a surprise when you open up, there's a little bit of bonus. So here are 2 to look at. And again, there's not a lot of stamping for these projects tonight. There's more of the assembly using the dimensionals that are in your kit. And we'll finish tonight with our little tea pocket. So let me clear the stage for a moment here to get things so I can show you. All right, because I want to show you there's 2 different sizes that I have created for you. And this one I should have found, I had a sweet little Easter candy that would have fit in here nicely too, but I knew that I included in your kit the tea. So one way, if you want to make the smaller size, you can still use the tea bag. You just sort of fold in the edges a little bit. Or you might have a candy or a little dollar bill or a love note that you want to tuck inside there. So there's 2 different sizes. We call this a diaper fold. Oh. And I'm going to demonstrate it a couple of times so you'll see the variations. But you have a variety of a selection of designer series paper. So in your kit, you'll have one of these 6x6 papers. It may look different from mine, but it has those floral and tea images. Here's another example. You might have one that's got that pretty green on it. And what we're going to do is do some simple origami. So this, the first time I'll show you is the smaller version, okay? And it's the same steps. You're just going to vary your the position of the fold. I want to explain that as I go. Now, whatever you want to be the inside of your pocket, the pattern that you want on the inside, you're going to hide right now. So I want to have this sort of blushing bride, this light pink and white pattern. That's going to be the inside of my pocket. So I'm going to hide it right now by folding on the diagonal. And I'll use my bone folder to crease this. And as with most origami projects, it's worth taking the time to do a nice, clean, crisp fold so that when you do the next step, it's already got that crease in place. Now, for this size, what I'm doing is I'm bringing the diagonal corner over to the edge, and I'm keeping this parallel line here. These are parallel lines from the bottom fold and the new line I'm going to create. I want them to be parallel. So I'm going to fold this over until it's touching over at the edge. And as best I can, I'm making that straight. So I'm not a precision girl. I like to let the stamps dance. I like to just play. But if you do want measurements, you can. I don't have them in my head for you, but there's ways you can do a precision measurement here. But I want to tonight show you how I do it, where I'm using my eyeball to know I'm eyeballing it from this corner over to the edge now. And that's going to line up, and it's making a little cup. In fact, you can use these as a paper cup for water from a drinking fountain. We used to do that when we were little. Maybe you did too. So see how both corners folded up and they met at this edge for this particular size, which is a little bit smaller. We're going all the way to the edge. Then we just fold down that top triangle, and now we have a little pocket. If we want to make it a drinking cup, we can fold this back to the back. And then now we have a little cup for you to put some water from the drinking fountain in, okay? Even with the tea or whatever you put in there, you can do that too. But I like how the back kind of gives a little color contrast and also a larger surface to put something in. So you can fold and tuck that tea right in there. Or if you have another little gift, like I said, a dollar bill would be nice, or a love note to fit inside. Now let me show you the variation that makes it a little wider, and that's great for the tea bag. Okay, so it's going to be the same folds. It's just we're changing the dimensions slightly. This time I'll use this lemon piece, and the other side is that freesia, fresh freesia that matches the project we did earlier tonight. So again, this time I want the freesia to be on the inside, so to be the back of my cup shape. So I'm going to fold so that that is hidden. Fold it in a triangle shape. And this paper starts out at 6 by 6, a 6 by 6 square. So you can do this any size paper that's square. 6 by 6 is nice for a little favor on the table on Mother's Day or Sunday dinner, or for favor for your neighbors. You could tuck it in their mailbox, or for teacher gifts. These are lovely for teacher gifts, with a gift card, or again, the best. As a teacher, I used to teach elementary school. The best gifts were the things that were handmade with love by the family, either a note from the child about how something they learned that year, or a picture that they drew or something like that. So I'm big on if you're helping your children with gifts for a teacher, have it be something that they've created. And we're going to score. So this time you'll see I didn't go over as far. All right. I'm still keeping that parallel shape. You see if you can see it better like this, if I have that in there. So I'm still aiming for that parallel line, but I'm about an inch away here. And I'm going to do the same thing going this way. But again, I'm going to leave some of the space away.
Which makes it wider.
What's that?
Which makes it wider.
It makes it wider. And so because that will control now that opening, and we've got a wider space to open. So the first one, I went all the way to the edge. And the second one, I'm about like a little less than an inch away. But the goal is to keep that parallel line. Then we fold this over. And you really don't need any adhesive, although we might choose to use a dimensional to kind of lock things in place, but you really don't need any adhesive. That's the beauty of the origami fold, is that the paper is locking that shape. Does anybody have any questions about that? So along with the 6 by 6 paper, hopefully you also had some of these little squares. You had a teapot square, and this is called lemon lime twist. It's that pretty green color. That's a returning color with Stampin' Up. It went away and now it's back. It's coming back. And so in this case, I anchored the square with a dimensional onto the fold down triangle. And I haven't yet anchored it to the yellow base, but I'm going to, just to give it a little more stability here. So I'm going to take a dimensional, and just at the point of my triangle, just put that down. And that will just help. Oh, I have to peel off the little wax liner, don't forget. And then that's going to just anchor it a little more securely.
Right. And
so like I said, the fold itself will keep things in place.
Yeah, you could do the fold flat and then the little stamp on top, the square one raised. So you don't have to do both dimensionals. You could do
right. Yep. The teapot one I just glued on with the
no, other way around. If you glue the flap down flat, but then have the
yes. So here, so I'll show you
down.
that. Let's do that with this glue. Is this what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that goes
okay.
flat
So
down.
I'm using some of the liquid glue to just kind of lock down that that flap. And again, once something's inside there, it really helps. It helps hold it. But if it's going to be handled a lot, or if you're going to have a basket of them and you're distributing them from the basket, then it would be a good idea to give a little bit of that protection to lock it in place. And then you can take your little teapot square and add that with a dimensional. That would be terrific. I was looking for that silver daisy if I could find it, but you know that I usually things get misplaced on my table and then I find them. Oh, here it is. I find them too late. But this is another thing you could do is some kind of punched image or a little tag with the person's name on it to personalize it even more. But these are lovely, like I said, on a table or on an office worker's desk, you know, pass on something, some kindness. So we've been busy tonight, right? We've made several different things. I want to pull things back into the screen so you can see them. We had our shiny cards and our transition, celebrations of transition cards. And we had our envelope flap cards. So I thank you for taking part. I thank Julia for partnering with me. I look forward to this every month. I look forward to our Zoom time and also to the time we share in person. I want to thank you. I received some feedback from viewers that many of you would like to have an in-person class where we get to make a mess and play with different projects. And so Julia and I are putting our heads together to see how we can find some times in the calendar that might work for that, in addition to keeping our Friday Let's Kit collection class. So we enjoy your feedback. It helps us to make plans, and so we always welcome that feedback from you. Any questions or comments tonight? Thank you, Lisa. I see your comment coming up on Zoom. I enjoy being together and learning things together. Thank you.
Thank you. This was a fun class tonight.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. I wish everybody a very happy April ahead. Enjoy the spring-like, summer-like weather. Don't miss the beautiful daffodil display at the Baldwinsville Public Library. And tulips are next, right, Julia?
Right, they're coming.
right.
They're coming. You can see
It's
them.
amazing. It's amazing. So thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you next month. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.